Elon Musk's SpaceX company has had a huge 2022 and late last week sent yet more Starlink satellites into space to add to their already massive network. The launch was the company's 37th of the year so far, and it is the latest in Musk's plan to provide quicker and more stable internet access for all. Today we're discussing SpaceX's latest launch and landing, deploying another 53 Starlink satellites. Stay with us. Let's jump straight in and discuss the recent launch then. There's no doubting the fact that Musk's SpaceX company is one of the most thrilling companies out there today. The firm is trying to bring space travel to the masses, whilst also providing a huge internet network which should ultimately make the world more connected. And late last week, they launched yet more of their Starlink satellites into space, signaling the 23rd Starlink launch this calendar year. Since January, SpaceX have launched a further 14 missions not connected to Starlink, meaning overall they have now launched 37 times in 2022, which, if nothing else, is incredibly consistent. The mission used the Falcon 9 first stage rocket, which incidentally was the 9th time that particular rocket has been used, with the second stage carrying 53 satellites to add to the more than 3,000 SpaceX satellites that are currently in orbit around our planet. It all went down from the Space Force Station Space Launch Complex 40 in Cape Canaveral, with the mission launching at 3:21 p.m. last Friday, August 19th. After launch, it took a mere 2.5 minutes for the first and second stages of the rocket to separate, each splitting off to complete their own independent missions. And if you think that is fast, it only took 15 minutes from launch for the second stage to deliver its payload into orbit. After separation, the first stage headed back to safely land on SpaceX's drone ship. We're living in the future, folks. What else went down then? Stay tuned to find out. Well, Musk is famous for his use of reusable space tech, and his first stage rocket touched down on a ship named a Shortfall of Gravitas. We don't know. Just a few minutes after takeoff. In the past, these rockets were one and done. So Musk is being celebrated in the space exploration community for finally figuring out how to reuse these expensive rockets. Their 37 orbital launches this year eclipses, last year's launch record as they closed out 2021 with 31 launches. And there is still another 4 months of this year left. In August alone, Musk's engineers have already launched 2 other missions. The Starlink Group 426, which took to the skies from Kennedy Space Center on August 10th, and the Starlink 3-3, which took off from the Vandenberg Space Force Base a couple of days later. And as if that wasn't enough, there are plans in place for another 2 launches before the month is out, with further launches each set to take place from Kennedy and Vandenberg. The ultimate goal for Musk's Starlink program is to provide internet services for remote regions, meaning the whole world will eventually be connected. After the illegal Russian invasion of Ukraine, Elon actually added Ukraine to the list of countries the network serves, which means that by now around 20% of the world's countries are using Starlink. What do you make of their prolific year so far? So how much does the service cost? Let's see. Whilst it doesn't cost thousands of dollars per year as some might have thought, the service is still relatively expensive. Many broadband providers in urban areas can cost as little as £10 per month, with increased competition in those areas meaning companies are willing and able to slash prices. Of course, many of these providers don't service rural or more remote areas, so this needs to be taken into account when discussing the price. At £89 per month in the UK or $99 in North America, you may wince at the price, but many in remote areas will probably view this as a necessary expense. However, if these people have chosen to live in relative seclusion, they might actually decide they don't want or need the service at all. Installing the dish and router will incur extra cost, as these are needed to connect to the satellite. This will set you back £529 in the UK or $549 in North America. But with around 90% of the developed world already connected, Musk is relying on a small share of the market for revenues. According to Professor Saeed Mustashar of London's University of Space Policy and Law, so far Starlink has around 400,000 subscribers, which isn't a huge amount when you think about it, and for remote communities in Africa and Asia, these price points will simply be far too much. Surely it's pretty cluttered up there now. Stay tuned to find out. Of course, simply launching more than 3,000 satellites up into orbit will bring problems in itself. It's not as if there was nothing up there orbiting our planet when Musk started his audacious Starlink program either. There were already plenty of satellites providing us with telephone links and other things, so adding thousands more satellites to low Earth orbit will inevitably cause problems. Amazon is said to be planning on launching their Kuiper satellites in the near future too, which is only going to add to the chaos. Moteshar said satellites could hit other vessels and create fragments of wreckage, and these, in turn, could cause a lot more damage when flying at high speeds. There is also a ton of space debris up there too, from nuts and bolts which have separated off of disused satellites and rockets to these satellites themselves. Low Earth orbit is a busy and dangerous place. Recently, Musk was accused by China of almost hitting their space station with one of his satellites, and some critics have claimed that this much traffic in low Earth orbit could make it unusable in future. However, this isn't the only problem. Astronomers who study our skies to look for threats such as asteroids or simply just for scientific research are being hampered by Musk's satellites, which cause sunlight to glint off their wings, in turn obscuring scientists' views of stars and planets. What do you guys make of this issue? Give us your solutions. How is Starlink helping the Ukrainians then? Let's discuss. When Putin launched his illegal war on the 24th of February, he instructed his military to begin taking out Ukraine's internet infrastructure. He didn't want reports of their war crimes circulating on social media, so tried to block social media in the country, a telltale sign that horrific incidents were almost certainly taking place on the ground. Elon Musk sprang into action, making his Starlink service immediately available to President Zelensky, shipping around 15,000 dishes and routers to the Eastern European nation. Since coming back online, the Ukrainians have been able to keep public services going, and so far the Russians have not been able to figure out how to shut it down. We're going to go out on a limb and suggest that Musk might be slightly more intelligent than Vladimir Putin. So good luck shutting Starlink down in Ukraine, Vlad. The service is also being used on the battlefield, and the Ukrainian forces have used it for things like communication and strategy. Dr. Marina Miron of King's College London revealed that its signals cannot be jammed like ordinary radio signals can be, and it takes only 15 minutes to set up the kit. Whilst it's obviously a good thing that Musk has offered Ukraine these services, unfortunately there's nothing he can do about a criminal warlord invading his neighbors. What do you make of Musk donating 15,000 dishes and routers to the country? And finally, some criticisms of the service. Stay with us. With the company's massive growth of late, Musk can be rightly proud of what he has achieved, but it's not all picnics and rainbows for SpaceX. Some users in more remote areas have hid out at the company after their internet slowed to a crawl, prompting one lady in Wisconsin to rage quit the system. Lindsay Bernhagen says it has been impossible for her to get any work done, and after paying so much for the service, we can imagine her frustration. She said it was really fast for the first few months, and then it got predictably bad every single day, before going on to reveal how she couldn't take part in video meetings, and her download speeds meant she couldn't do her job at all. And this isn't an isolated case. Some other users in remote areas have claimed the service is slowly getting worse, with others suggesting that SpaceX have oversold their capacity for providing reliable internet services. It seems as though SpaceX are aware of problems, however, with a spokesperson saying recently, "We are aware of customers reporting lower download/upload speed. These fluctuations are due to congestion in certain areas and peak usage times." They then said, "We expect improvements as we fully deploy our satellite constellation with future launches. So we will have to wait and see if this improves." As usual, thanks for dropping in on us today, and remember to swing by again next time for some more fun reveals. And why not do us a solid by liking and sharing today's video, whilst also sharing it with any spaceheads you might know of. Bye!